Welcome to part 4 of our first lecture on the language of anatomy. In the last video, we are going over anatomical regions. And these are very important to describe where something is. So remember Lisa? She has a pimple on her frontal region. What was that? That was her forehead. So I left you with this diagram and asking you what the regions were. So A is your armpit. Very smelly region, or is it? We'll talk about that in chapter 4. Your armpit is your axillary. So A was your axillary region. See what I did? I used the A for that. And region number B, that was here, your shoulder. I can't use the letter. That's your deltoid. And region number C was your sternal. So this region right here, on either side of the sternal region, I'm sure I should not be doing, that's much better. That is your pectoral. So P-E-C-T-O-R-A-L. I actually can't write past that point in case you haven't noticed that. And E was your umbilical. Again, nobody has ever gotten umbilical wrong. Don't be the first. F is the crease right here. Again, some pictures put in a weird place. That is your inguinal. You can say inguinal, I won't be mad at you. And that's important because there's a whole bunch of things going in and out of your body to your legs right there. I think the black might be a little bit easier to write inguinal. And then we had G and H. G is your temporal, and H is your occipital. So, have you got it? It's okay. This is confusing. So we're going to repeat all of this in lab, so don't worry. And we'll then have an online activity so you can test it yourself over and over. Now, how I'll actually test you on this is I will have some questions on the lecture exam saying, what region is your armpit? And you're going to say axillary. Or what region is your belly button? And you'll say umbilical. Then on the lab exam, I'll do something like this. I'll put the letters. I will give you a lot better picture than this, and I will give you a lot more room to write than this. So your arms are divided into your upper arm, your lower arm, your hand, and your finger. Now your upper arm, which is up here, that is your brachial. I've heard brachial. I like brachial because I remember you break your arm when you fall off a motorcycle trying to jump over a cab. Long story. It was my brother. And your brachial region is your upper arm. Now, this is before your upper arm. You go to a nice 5-star Italian restaurant. You have 3 dishes, the appetizer, the pasta dish, and the entree. What's the appetizer called in that fine establishment? It is called antipasta. That means it comes before pasta. Anti is Latin for before. So this is before the brachial region. So it's your antebrachial. This is your brachial region. And then this one's very important. It's your elbow, and we're only going to look at the front of your elbow. That is your cubital. The reason this is important is there's a big, juicy vein that goes right across that region. And this is the vein phlebotomists are told to go for first when getting their blood drawn. Choice number 2, remember that inguinal canal? That's what they go for. Now, your carpal region is your wrist bones, right there. So that's your carpal. And it's only this little wrist part right here. Now, your digital region are your fingers. So we're going to look at the legs now. This is your inguinal canal right here. See, they're trying to put it up there, but this is really the inguinal region. And your hip here. That hip is your coxal region. The coccyx is the tailbone. Coxal is your hip. When you figure out the two, can you tell me? Because it confuses the heck out of me. And I've been doing this for years. So again, coxal is your hip. Coccyx is your tailbone. We are not worrying about the tailbone right now. Your leg, you have a big bone right here in your leg called your femur. And that is femoral. We have muscle groups, rectus femoris and biceps femoris, named for being in your upper leg. We have the femoral artery, femoral nerve, femoral vein. So that's a lot of structures for the femoral region. The patellar region is your kneecap right there. And then you have two bones in the lower leg. This is your tibia, like so. And then you have the fibula right there. Now, technically, the front here is called the curl. There's no structure where there's any curl. Learning fibular and tibial is actually very important. Anything fibular is going to be lateral. Do you remember what lateral is? Is it towards the midline or towards the outside? It's towards the outside, so lateral. Now, the tibial is the medial bone. So here's the tibia, right there. And that is medial, so it's towards the inside. Anything tibial in your leg is going to be to the inside. Now, someone always raises their hand. Tibia, tibial. The AL is an adjective. That is, it's changing a noun to an adjective. So tibial means referring to the region of the bone. So tibia is the bone, you can touch it. Your tarsals are then your ankle bones. That's not too bad. Oh, wait a second. We forgot our whole back. So let's look at the back. Now your shoulder blades are your scapula. So he has one scapula right here. And the scapula is the bone's name. So the region is scapular. So again, they're taking a noun, something you could touch the bone, and making it into an adjective. Now your vertebral region actually extends all the way up here. Do you remember what your neck was called? That's right, cervical. The other two parts of your backbone get the name for their spine. This second section right here is a thoracic. And this red part right here, that's your lumbar. Now, there's another region right here, of the vertebral region. There's a tiny bone right there. I guess it's not a tiny bone, called the sacrum. So that is the sacral. I've heard it called sacral a lot recently. I don't know if it's because I'm listening to podcasts in English, but I learned sacral. I'm going to call it sacral, so that is a sacral. I'm pretty sure you guys all know gluteal. That's right here, in case you don't. And here's a fun fact. The crease between the two gluteal regions is called the intergluteal crease. Now you have something to tell your friends. Look what I learned in anatomy class. So, gluteal region is the buttocks, as Forrest Gump would put it. Now, the back of your knee, there's a cavity. It is called the popliteal. There is a artery called the popliteal artery. You could take a blood pressure on, and you could actually take a pulse on it. It is not fun for either. I've been the volunteer for both. Again, you have your tibia. Sort of looks like this, being the medial bone. Your fibula. So fibular is lateral, tibia is medial. And then your plantar is the bottom of your feet. One of my students at another college was a football player, and he said that he thinks of plantar, that they're told to play linebacker, that they have to plant their feet. So their bottom of their feet is on the ground, planted. So that's enough regions, don't you think? So this is how I'm going to do it on the lecture exam. And I think some of your online activity is like this as well. Your bicep brachii, brachial artery, and brachialis muscle should be in what region? The head? No, that's cephalic. The leg? No. The foot? Oh, it must be the arm. So anything with brachial in it is going to be related to the upper arm. Biceps brachii, triceps brachii, brachialis, all related to the upper arm. The occipital lobe, occipital artery, occipitalis muscle are all where on the skull? Now notice I'm combining two things, the regional anatomy, occipital, and directional terms. So occipital is back. Which one of these means back? No. It's posterior. Remember, your teacher's parents threatened to whip his posterior. And I cannot imagine either of my parents actually committing violence, by the way. So, this is what the lab exam is going to be like. Identify the region. And the good news is I get to go over all of these again in lab. So 9 is cervical. So what is region number 5? That's your patellar region. Not to be confused with back here. The back of your knee. That was that weird one, popliteal. Okay, region 19. What is region number 19? Well, it's your lower back right here. So that's your lumbar. Remember, lumbar punctures are down here. What about this region right here? Nice bone, artery. What is this bone called? Femoral. So 6 is femoral. And remember, I like the 2 different bones down here. We have this T-shaped bone, sort of like that. T is for tibia. F is for fibula, so the one on this side's tibial, the one on that side's fibular. We don't have a number there. Very juicy vein. Do you guys remember the vein? Or the region, I mean. That is the cubital region. What about your shoulder blades? What region was that? That would be scapular. Have I scared you yet? Don't worry. This is a lot of terms. Like I said, I think there are 58 terms that are in your textbook. I think I've settled for, 30. Now, what I would do is I would go to Google Images and make flashcards. Google search body regions unlabeled. I'm on Internet Explorer. I'm sorry. Don't judge me. And I'm actually a little bit overwhelmed like this. See, it's everything labeled in. That's drill and kill. It's not going to work for you. So I would instead go for regions. So like regions of the head. And print it out and make flashcards. Have like A, B, C, D, and you go over them this way. Another good way is these 2 pictures right here are coloring sheets. So you could color them in. There's actually an anatomy coloring book. I like doodling, so it might be very good for you. It might not be. Another suggestion, and some of my students have done this, is they draw them in a erasable pen on somebody they love or somebody that can't escape being in the same room with them. So there's lots of different ways. Again, I don't like the drill and kill, print out a picture with 5 billion lines on it. You're not going to learn. Make flashcards, repeat it over and over. Try to teach somebody it. Unfortunately, we're online, so it's hard to get study groups, but try to teach it to your parents or your significant other or your dog. If you could teach it to your dog and your dog understands it, you'll be an expert. Yes, I know your dog doesn't speak English, or does he? So, look at my test taking tips and my study tips as well. That's just what I would do when I'm presented with 32 brand new terms that are in 2 foreign languages that I don't speak either of. So feel free to email me with study tips on how to study all of these regions as well. And I will see you for our next video. Have a good day.